Hello everyone, I'm Silverraptor and welcome to another Wargame Red Dragon deck review. With Yugoslavia and Finland out, I can now cover them. But unfortunately, most other YouTubers have already gotten early access and have already done these sort of videos. So doing this by myself would have been boring, so I hunted around a bit and I actually found a YouTuber who was also small enough that he didn't get early access to these decks as well. And the best part is, he's from Croatia, with one of the former states from Yugoslavia, so he actually knows a bit of these terms and such from Yugoslavia that we're going to cover. And his name is Marin. Hi, Marin.
Hello.
Hello. So, I already told him the format of usual deck build. We're going to start with the logistics tab, and any kind of hard pronunciation of Yugoslavian language, or Croatian, or Serbian, or whatever they call it now. I have visited Croatia myself, and my tour guide said that when she taught us how to say hello, we just said hello in 6 different languages. Is that about
Pretty
accurate?
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can name you those, but
That's fine.
I won't because it's gonna be just.
Yeah, it's going to be a mess. So let's start in the logistics tab. So first of all, we start off with a fob. Every deck, I think, should have a fob, and if you don't want it in the start of a game, you just delete it. So we'll just move on from there. So I only have one supply card, and it's the FAP 2832-A supply truck. As you can see, 100 kilometers, so it's pretty fast off-road, and 2,400 liter supply. So with 7 of these things, this should keep my army supplied enough. So what kind of supply vehicles do you have in your deck?
I have 2 supply cards, also an FAP 2832-A.
Right.
I usually take the bigger one because it is 25 points expensive, but definitely gives you more supplies and a bigger speed. My second supply card is an HT-40 cargo helicopter.
Yeah.
We have here actual Croatian name pronounced Teretni. In the actual English, it would be cargo. So nothing special there. Just a regular cargo.
I mean, helicopter supply could definitely be good. I've just been favoring them less and less because of how little supply they actually carry. But helicopters are good for what I call mini fobs. You put them just short of the front line, where your supply trucks don't have to go back as far to resupply, and then you just have the helicopter commute back and forth between your fob and close to the front lines. It does save supply time. So that's a still good pick. Yeah. Well, now it's time for command vehicles. And, of course, I got the M84AK tank, because this thing looks like a freaking beast with its deck. One thing I like to do as a general rule for command vehicles, especially with tanks and such, is I give command status is 100 points, because the lowest command vehicle, the cheap 5 HP Jeeps and such that are command vehicles, cost 100 points. That's the minimum a command unit costs. So any kind of vehicle that looks like it can fight, I will subtract 100 points and from the total cost and say, would I bring this in for this price? And since it's 70 points, I'm viewing this as a 70-point tank that's also a command unit with the extra 100 points. Have you ever thought of it like that?
Yeah, but obviously not fighting on the front line. For me, I really don't like to bring the armored units as command vehicles, just because if it's not an armored deck. If it's an armored deck, then probably yeah, but for me, I have built a general deck, and at most cases, I really don't want to spend that much points on really just one unit, which is obviously not going to be fighting on the front line, and basically just defending itself if necessary, and if you get in that situation, and you usually shouldn't get into that situation. So for myself, my command unit is 100 point armored vehicle VBK M-60 PK.
That's interesting. Yeah, it's just a little bit armored. You get 5 of them. So that's a pretty decent CV. Definitely worthwhile. You even have medium optics. That's pretty valuable. Um, Getting back to the M84AK that I chose. One reason I chose it is that you get 4 of these tanks. Uh, and also, I'm weird. I actually do like having my command vehicles fight in the front lines a bit sometimes. Microing them up to shoot, along with other tanks and such in the mix. And so I do have these kind of as a fighting unit. But then again, I'm weird, and like I like a how do I phrase this? I like ridiculous amounts of unnecessary danger for my command tanks.
Yeah, we figured that out in your videos. Do you have any command infantry?
Yes, I do. I actually have some calm. Oh God, calm Odell Genji. Yes, you're laughing. I'm butchering it so bad. I know. But I have them in the HO-42 Gazella helicopters so that it can get to front lines quicker and able to capture buildings. The infantry are mainly to capture buildings, but also to capture like forests and stuff in case I want to get there faster. So, so tell me, how well did I butcher this name?
Okay, well, I don't know if I should say that you butchered it very well because you butchered it to the very end. Com is, I'm not exactly sure what it stands for because I never met that actual name in any of the freaking text I read in all of these years for the actual Croatian or Serbian army, but I would think that it's maybe a komandno, which means command, and odeljenje, how you pronounce it.
Odeljenje.
Yeah. That means separation, which doesn't have any sense on English. So direct translation would be completely unreasonable. So I really have no idea how to translate it in a sense that it actually has some meaning on English.
No, it actually does make sense if I think about it. Command separation. If you think about the whole map as the battlefield, and the main command is like hunkered up in a bunkered headquarters in your capital, and you're sending out these little squads. They're separations from the command to the different sectors to capture the different areas, and basically relays from the centralized command to these little command squads. Is kind of what I got.
Yeah, so I pretty much got the same infantry because obviously it's the only one command infantry in the logistic tab, or in Yugoslavia deck at all.
Yeah.
So I used the version with the OT tab -71, so pretty much a BTR 90 if I'm not wrong.
You are wrong. I think that's a BTR 80.
Okay.
Just from the model, I recognize the model.
I really don't have BTR 80, BTR 70, BTR 90. They all.
There's very little difference, yes.
Yeah. So, and I'm not really a pro in thing. I mean, I can designate basic stuff from like Russian models and so on, but really the difference between BTR 90A and BTR 90B is very hard to tell for me.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fair.
So, I don't really like to get helicopter infantry. Definitely it's fast, and if you're gonna rush in, if you have like a big town in the middle of the map, which is going to be a choke point and a freaking hell for every single player in that map, then sure. But I usually like to go with some armored version that can actually fend itself, because the BTR-80 has the 14.5mm rounds for 400 of them, with a decent range and ability to fend itself against the helicopters.
All right, cool. But then again, for the helicopters, I'm not going to be sending these guys in at the very start into heavy fighting of where I expect them to meet enemy helicopters. This is more like, I'm pushing. We just wiped out the CV of a sector. Let me bring this in pretty quickly so that I can recapture it and get extra points. It's kind of my side.
That's definitely.
All right, well, okay, I think that's the logistics tab. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll move on to
Let's move to
infantry.
infantry. Yeah.
All right. Well, first, let's start off with the commando infantry and Pado Branci. Is that how he's pronounced?
Well, actually, you are pretty damn close in this one. And I'm actually say because you speak English, you pronounce that pretty damn well.
Well, I've had lots of practice, yeah.
I can imagine. It's pronounced Padobranci. So you weren't that far.
All
Very
right.
close, actually. So, what did you took? Did you took the regular or the 90?
The 90, because they basically have the Eric's version, the Bumbar missiles with 26 AP power. These will definitely be able to keep vehicles pretty good far away from towns and such, and because they're pretty good compared to their regular counterpart. So they do have a little worse light machine gun now that I'm looking and comparing, but yeah.
Yeah, but I took the 90 version as well because the
why
bomber
not?
has, yeah, definitely has a bigger range, and the actual close combat rifle or the machine gun is improved with a better rate of fire. No, actually worse.
Yeah, it's worse. That's why I'm saying they
Oh
have
my
a better.
lord.
Yeah,
Damn.
it's fine. What do the Pado Branci? I know I pushed it again. What does that name stand for in the?
That's Padobranci are pretty much the paratroopers. Even though it doesn't have sense to have paratroopers in an armored vehicle, these should be paratroopers. But of course, you don't have infantry coming out of the planes in Wargame, so they had to put them in armored vehicles.
Well, fear not. They have the HT-40 as well. They can paradrop out of those.
Yeah. So did you use the BTR-80 or the helicopter?
I use the OT Tab 71.
Same for me.
Yeah,
Okay.
I basically stuck all of my infantry into a ground vehicle.
Yeah. Okay. So what did you took for anti-aircraft, if you have any?
I took the silo, basically they're Igla ones, near the bottom. I got some silo infantry for some anti-air.
Which vehicle?
In the BVP M80A1 Vidra.
Definitely a nice vehicle. Ability with actual anti-aircraft capability, of course, not an anti-aircraft vehicle, but definitely ability to fight against. I also took Shiloh. It's pronounced Shiloh.
Shiloh. All right.
There is not an actual translation into English because it's not a word, it's a name. So you cannot really translate names into different languages. So this is just Shiloh. There is no translation in English for that, unfortunately.
All right. So they're just the Shiloh squad.
Yeah. I took the version with the OTM-60PB. I didn't took the BVP just because of those 5 points, and since this is gonna be the anti-aircraft squadron, it's not going to be fighting on the front lines, and I don't really have any necessity to bring up armored vehicle with bigger armor and bigger firepower because it's not the other units will cover this squadron.
Right. And the OTM-60PB is pretty interesting. It's got 2 recoilless rifles on the back, and that means it will fire the second one shortly after the first one. So basically you get like 2 shots. So that's still a pretty good choice. The only downside is it's not amphibious, which is why I got the BVP version, which is amphibious. Basically, I drive across the river, I drop off this infantry, and then this thing drives forward and fights the front line, whereas the infantry cover it from any helicopters or stuff. That's kind of my strategy with it.
Well, it's good strategy. Okay, did you take any anti-tank?
Yes, I did. I took the Pors Drug. I think that's what it's pronounced.
There is no translation for drug. Drug is on English. There's no such word as druggy in Croatian or Serbian or any other
Oh, it's just the name of
Slavic
the
language.
anti-tank weapon.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Uh,
Uh,
and
so go ahead.
is there anything for Porus?
Uh, no, Boris is also a name.
Okay.
Nothing really. But as we go later on, you will see a hell of a ton of names. So fear not, you will get a lot of translations.
All right. Yeah, I got some drugs in the same BVP M880A1s. I mean, the Yugoslavian military, all the APCs, seem to have anti-tank guided missiles on all of their vehicles, which seems to be a counter to Israel's tank armor APCs. So yeah, it's an interesting design. So basically, like almost all of my infantry carts have a variant of these anti-tank guided missile vehicles. I got some other regular shock train infantry, the Proletary 90s. Yeah, shock train. They've got a really good anti-tank RPG. It has 20 rounds per minute rate of fire and 24 AP power. So this is definitely a good assault infantry, able to go through forest, take out any heavy tanks they might encounter.
For the anti-tank, I took the Boris Faggot. I got them in the OTM-60P transport just because of the low cost for the transport and an ability to transport them fast and to have machine gun in case of encountering any enemy infantry.
All right. That's interesting that you chose the faggots. The thing is that the reason why I chose the drugs is in terms of whenever I think of ADGMs, I use the American tanks as sort of like a basis of what would happen if I faced them. And the tank that most commonly choose for the cheapest of the Abrams is the M1 IP variant, which has 17 front armor, which the faggots aren't really able to penetrate, whereas the drug is able to do somewhat. And so that's why I chose the drugs. And you still get quite a number of drugs. I have 14 squads of them. So I could definitely spam these guys almost as much as
definitely.
the faggots.
Yeah.
So.
For Faggot, you get 17 versions, 17 squadrons, but
Yeah, I checked that out.
I mean, it's the same. For the infantry, on the other hand, I got both from the rifle roll. So instead of proletary, how it's pronounced, there is again no translation into English. This is a strictly Croatian word and Serbian, which doesn't appear anywhere else. Not that I know of, because I mean it's maybe appeared in like Arabian language, and I don't have any idea how to pronounce that in that language, so I can't help you in that. For I used Mornarička pešadija and Brdska pešadija, which means navy infantry and hill infantry. Both of them I got. Navy infantry I got in the OT tab -71, so BTR 80, and hill infantry I got in actual helicopter variant, so with the HT-40.
Okay, so the 20 pointers are the hill infantry and the 10 pointers are the navy infantry?
Navy infantry is 20 points and hill infantry is 15 points.
15, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, light rifleman. I see it. Okay. So, hill infantry and navy infantry. All right, that's cool. But yeah, I got the proletary 90s. And they are coming in BVP M96 Vidras, and these things are pretty beastly. These things can definitely are putting the Martyr 2 a run for its money due to the fact that they have 26 AP power for those AT-tank guided ATGMs, and they also have 4 AP power on that autocannon. So they could definitely rip apart vehicles. And only the proletary, I think, can have access to the Vidra if the other infantry has from the other nations have proven for a really good APC. So I would recommend that if you're having a pure Yugoslavia deck, you at least bring this in. just because of
Yeah.
the utility it brings. I also have some regular proletary as well, just simply for the fact that they're pretty decent. They've got a close quarters combat. And I mean, they got okay lob. I have plenty of other AP from other sources. I don't really care about that. But the main thing is that for 15 points, this is regular trained, or not, sorry, shock trained regular infantry. So for 15 points, I'm getting shock trained, better trained infantry in a pretty decent vehicle. So that's why I got the regular proletary.
Well, I got the Navy Infantry just because the LRAC has the same range as the M-90 from the Proletary 90. Same range, but better accuracy, not as good AP power, lesser suppression rate of fire, but for shock infantry, stealth's pretty good, and I mean, for 20 points, in some aspects you get lesser, but in some aspects you get more. For the hill infantry, I got them simply because they are absolutely very cheap.
Yes.
You get a BST M-60A with a kilometer and a half, almost kilometer and a half range, 40% accuracy, bad AP power, but definitely good for getting some damage at enemy units and raiding their supply lines.
The main thing is that it zones, like away from a town or edge of a forest. It prevents the enemy from really committing full forces into it.
And for 15 points, you get like, if you get trained, you get like 19 of them, so you can pretty damn spawn them.
Another good thing is they're 15-man squads.
Yeah. So I took them primarily because of that reason.
Okay. That's a pretty good line of thinking. So I think we covered all the infantry. Have you covered all of yours?
Yeah, I did. Let's move on to the supply.
The support tab, yep.
Oh my god. I always misread those two, god damn it.
Alright, so first off, we're going to cover the anti-air, because this is what Yugoslavia is known for, especially here in the West. After all, during the Balkan War, Serbia was the only nation to actually shoot down an F-117 Nighthawk.
Yes.
Though I have read into that, and it was a little bit due to luck and unfortunate positioning of the Nighthawk that they were able to do so, but it's still pretty impressive that they were able to shoot it down.
And they also have the longest vehicle in the game.
Yes, they do. The RSPVO Neva. I've got the M1 version over the MIT. The MIT is pretty special. It's the fact that it's not radar, so you can keep it on indefinitely and not worry about seed. The problem is you only get 2 of them, and other than the fact that it's not radar, you don't get any other benefits. It's not more accurate. It's not faster. It doesn't have even any more missiles. So for 30 points more, you just remove its radar tab, and also you can only get a maximum of 2, whereas the 90.1, which is the exact same stat-wise, you can get 5 of them. So you can definitely get a lot of radar coverage of our anti-planes. And also, if you're skilled enough, you can just keep turning this radar on and off, put this into a hot tab, and you can micromanage the radar. And also, there's a lot less danger from seed from NATO, or a significant less danger, because NATO doesn't have any seed helicopters like the Soviets have. For example, the IHawk EOTS, which doesn't have radar, that's pretty good because it doesn't have to worry about Ka-52s. But for Yugoslavia, they don't really have to worry about that. They only have to worry about planes, which you can see coming from a mile away, and have a few seconds to turn off before they get into range.
Yeah. And for this point, we actually have a pretty same thinking, because for the pretty much same reasons, I took the M1 versions and 90-point version against the 120.
I also got the RSPVO M90 Sava, which is basically the Strela 10M, except it's got 2,800 meter range rather than 2,600. which 25, which the previous version have, and it's also more accurate and have higher HE power too. So definitely a must in your deck, especially since it's infrared as well.
Yeah, again, I took the same thing as you did. For people who don't know, Sava is actually a river in Croatia. It's actually going through a lot of countries, not only Croatia. I mean, it's going. It starts in Slovenia and it goes through Croatia, Serbia, and I don't know who. No, actually, it doesn't go to Serbia. It's connecting to Dunav in Croatia, and then it goes to Serbia and to the Black Sea. So it isn't any actual special name, it's just the name of the river.
All right. And I did get one more anti-air unit. I got the SPAT BOV 30. And the reason
my lord.
And the reason why I got these is because they're pretty fast. They're wheeled. They've got pretty good speed, and they have a very good air detection. And they're not radar for having very good air detection. And also, they can kind of shoot ground. So these are just kind of move up with like infantry or the vehicles and just provide cheap, close range anti-air support. Is my line of thinking. Is why I chose those. Did you choose any other AA?
Based on my reaction, you could probably guess that I got the same.
Oh my god.
a gun AA, the SPAT Bow 30.
Alright, next we're going to cover is the SVLR M94 Plamen S, which is a rocket vehicle. And this rocket vehicle, I am actually very, very impressed. First off, it's one of the first rocket vehicles on land that the rockets can actually shoot smoke if you so want. So you could smoke out a position if you're going to make an advance with these. And also, what's really good about these is that they fire their rockets like really, really fast. Do you know the mortar Vasilic that the Soviets have that just fires its mortars like doom, 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 doom?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what these things kind of do, but with their rockets. Just go, and then all the rockets land at basically the same time.
Great sound effect.
Thank you. So yeah, I got these. Got 4 of them because these things are definitely worthwhile. Did you get these?
Thankfully no, because then somebody would say that we are actually copying our own decks. I took the SVLR M-77 Ogany. That's the pronunciation for that.
The napalm.
Ogany, on the English, it means fireplace.
Fireplace with napalm. That's pretty appropriate.
Yeah, and your version, Plamen, how it's pronounced, is a flame. So that's the.
So mine is called flame, and yours is called fireplace.
Yeah, pretty much.
And the final tab of support that I have are the Nora Bs. And normally this would be reserved for a mortar of some sort for smoke or just minor artillery. But given the fact that the Plamen it can fire smoke itself, I feel that that was sufficient to be my smoke mortar. So I decided to get a heavy artillery for long-range support or CV sniping if the need arises. So what do you think?
Well, Nora B is definitely an interesting unit. Something that you would see probably in the World War II at the Germans having some kind of truck or an armored vehicle and then a big heavy-duty field gun mount on it. Definitely a good idea. Good range. Dispersion pretty good. HI power good. Rate of fire is low, but
and it's decent for artillery.
As big as this gun gets, you won't get any better than this. So definitely a good choice. I don't have anything in the support tab anymore because I spent 60 out of 60 activation points.
So you only have 4 cards.
Yes.
All right. Then we'll go on to the tanks tab. And the first thing that I got was the M91A Vihor. The biggest tank that they have, with all the reactionary armor plating all over it. I'm assuming you got this as well.
Wait, did you get the A version or the 130 point version?
I got the A version.
Ah, I got the normal version because for me having the 50 points expensive version just to get more AP power and a 4-point better front armor is for me really not worth it, because that 50 points could be invested in anti-air, recon, or anything else, which would be definitely a hell of a lot more useful. So my thinking is going for the cheaper version on this one.
Well,
And Vihor,
yeah.
as how you pronounce it, is a type of wind, actually. I don't know what are how do you call different types of winds in English, but it's a type of wind here in Croatia.
All right. Well,
it's like light wind, so not very fast, just like slow, just enough to give you some chills.
Yeah, if infantry sees looking down the barrel of that gun, gets slight chills that it's coming towards them. Well, my line of thinking, the reason why I got the A version, is that it's got, first off, 4 top armor, and that's actually very beneficial in trying to survive cluster artillery. So it has better survivability. It's got 22 AP power, which is very good for taking out other tanks, and the 1 extra side armor and 4 extra front armor is still very worthwhile. For me, this is the super heavy. I like to have a super heavy tank. And then I like to have a slightly less version heavy medium tank. And that's where I got the M91 Vihor as well, the 130 point tank as well underneath it. So I have double up on, I have a heavy duty, then I've got medium heavy. And then I've got medium tank, which is the M84A, which is pretty damn accurate. 65% accuracy, 19 AP power for 95 points. Definitely worthwhile. And then finally I got some T-72Ms, which are good for medium light tanks. These are good for fire support to move up with the infantry squads due to the fact that it has 4 HE power and 50% accuracy and 12 front armor. It's pretty good for survivable. It's very unlikely to die in one hit to most anti-tank stuff, so it's pretty durable. So that's kind of my tank line reasoning. What did you put together?
Well, as I could hear, you have 5 cards.
No,
in
4.
The tank. 4.
Yeah, 4.
Oh, yeah. I have again 3 for unknown reason. It seems that I spent a little bit too much on the air tab. Got to change
we'll
that
get to
maybe.
That.
Yeah. So I like to have 1 heavy tank with a very big cost. Then I like to have something medium which can cover up the lines, and then I like to have a very as much as cheap version of tank as I can have, to be like to spam them in case I need to stall enemy advance, just to spam them. Of course, if we are talking about conquest, because in destruction that would be just a freaking loss of points for the whole team.
Yeah.
So I took as I said, M91 for the heavy version. For the medium cost, I took the M-84A, so same as you.
Mm-hmm.
And for the lower cost one, I took the T-55AH Igman. No translation there. I think that's pretty much an English translation, because I cannot remember any word in Croatian similar to that.
I don't recognize Igman.
Maybe it's some kind of code name, because it's definitely not in Croatian or Serbian.
Alright, interesting.
So, should we move to Recon?
Yep, Recon it is. And the first thing that I got is probably a mandatory in this deck is the M84AN Recon tank, the 100-point tank. As Val keeps saying whenever I meet him, this tank is godlike in the current environment of Wargame. It has very good optics, 15 front armor. It's basically the same as that 95-point tanks, except with very good optics. And with medium stealth, it can fire from forest without revealing itself. So definitely a must to take. Did you take him?
No, my philosophy is use tank for his primary purpose to be as shield and to fight other tanks. I do not use it for logistics. I do not use it for recon. I only use it for tank tab for his primary purpose. So for that reason, I really don't put it in any else tab. It's just my like logic, but I could be wrong, but it's just my way of thinking. And
It's
then you have to choose. Will you get the logistic version? So you can have a command vehicle for 100 points, or will you get recon version for 100 points,
right.
or will you get the regular version for 100 points? And if the enemy destroys it, at least they will not destroy the command vehicle; they will destroy a regular tank.
Right. Everyone has their own line of thinking. There's no right way to make a deck. That's what I have always said in my
Yeah.
video. So, what's the main thing that you decided was a must in the recon?
Well, I decided to bring the some kind of armor variant. I brought the IBV M-80 AI. Uh, this guy, I mean, it's gonna be a killer. 30 millimeter round cannon with a very good range, poor accuracy, but that's what you can expect, and a guided missiles in case it needs to fend itself from some other armored targets. Definitely exceptional optics, pretty damn good speed, autonomy, and fuel. Doesn't a medium stealth, but it's definitely better than nothing. And it's also an amphibious vehicle, so it's definitely gonna be my pick.
I got it mainly because it has exceptional optics, and unlike other exceptional optics vehicle for the same price, it can actually kind of fight. And I like to have recon vehicles that can also fight. There's a purpose, a place for recon that's not supposed to be seen and such, but having a recon that can also fight with your main units, I think that just doubles your firepower in certain situations. So yeah, I got this vehicle as well. I also got the M8. Oh god, Greyhound. Did I pronounce that right?
Actually, it's an English game. It's a Greyhound.
Greyhound, but it's just like translated a little bit into how.
There is no such a word here. Nobody ever heard of that. It's just a Greyhound from the World War II, nothing else. I mean, if you see, there is
It's an
no
armored
basically
car.
any difference.
Yeah.
Same gun, same Browning machine gun, so it's basically a ripoff from the World War II, so Greyhound. I think that's actually how you pronounce it in English also. Maybe not. I don't know really.
I was trying to be cutesy, but yeah, it's probably called a Greyhound as well. So, but yeah, these things have, though that's a main gun with 20 rounds per minute, so it's kind of like an autocannon main kind of gun. I mean, it does have 2 HE and 2 AP power, but still, these things can fire pretty quickly, and you provide some support as well as some good optics. So I just decided to take these along, give them a chance, see how they do, and if they don't pan out, I can always get something else.
Well, for my side, for our regular vehicle, I need an alternative because for 60 points, you need to have something less expensive as recon. So I took the M-1107 as a basic recon vehicle for 30 points. Very good speed on road and off road, only 30-kilometer difference, so that's freaking very well. Doesn't have a lot of fuel, but autonomy is pretty damn well. Of course, doesn't have any armor, but optics are very good and size is small, so that's why he's gonna be very hard to spot.
Yeah, that's pretty good line of thinking. The only problem is he has five strength, so one good artillery shell nearby, and that thing's going to go bye-bye.
Well, yeah, but it's not gonna be like the main recon.
Right.
It's gonna be just support recon on the places where I need something like
something to spot.
A spotter for artillery or something like that. So
Yeah.
it's not gonna be my main frontline vehicle. And did you get any infantry recon?
Yes, I did. I got the Senki, a 2-man sniper squad, and the BOV M86, which is a recon vehicle of itself. So I get double the recon for this infantry. And this infantry is actually very interesting due to the fact that it's basically an anti-tank sniper rifle with 2 AP power. So it can basically just shoot at any kind of vehicle and just whittle it down slowly but surely. And with exceptional stealth, due to the fact that it's a two-man squad, you can hide it behind enemy lines. You can see what's all going on, and yeah, they're definitely, I think, worthwhile to taking.
Yeah, that's pretty damn thinking. I mean, reasonable. I choose the graničari, how you pronounce them. Direct translation would be borders, some kind of border patrol. But that doesn't
sense.
have a lot of sense, because when you just say borders, that wouldn't have a lot of sense. The more commonly would be to pronounce them like border patrol or something like that.
Right.
I took them because if you need a very fast version and very cheap, if you just have somewhere on the area of the map, you don't have a lot of points because you're concentrated on some other area, and you need their recon really fast just to make sure there is nobody sneaking behind your back. So I don't have anything else.
Nope, that's it. All right, time for the vehicles. And I only got one thing in my vehicles tab.
That explains why you have other things in your, because I have 3 vehicles.
Well, I've got the BOV Rectas, which is basically rocket pods on wheels, which has regular rockets and napalm rockets as well. And it's just a very interesting vehicle, so I just had to take it because I'm all for uniqueness and seeing how this thing works out. So
please repeat that name. I want to hear once more time how you butcher it.
Oh God, BOV Rectas.
Okay,
yeah,
so
get it out.
Okay, it's pronounced Raketas.
Rocketas.
That sh, it's hard to pronounce because it's an
SH.
Because we took it from the Hungarian language, and we are probably the only 2 people in Europe who has that letter, other with some others, which I don't think we have in this deck, so I won't be talking about them because Croatian language is on the list of top 10 most hardest ones in the whole planet. So when I have to write test in English, from English, I'm very happy because I know I will get an A, because English is very, very, very easy. And when I have to write a test from Croatian, then I'm gonna start to cry.
So
because
what did that stand for?
The freaking grammar, we only have 2 letters more than you, but the grammar is... I won't be talking. I don't want to talk about it. It gives me nightmares. Now, oh my God. Okay, so translation would be Rocketeer. Something like that. Rocketeer.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so pretty decent units. You have both napalm rounds as well as area effect, so HI rounds. Nothing special to say there. The 25 points, not expensive, and definitely can cause some destruction. So first off, for me, I took the M-1107 Drug as my some kind of tow vehicle with the guided missiles. 20 points only, but these guys can cover your flank, and if some infantry transports wants to get behind your back, with 50-point accuracy and a hell of a lot AP power, they can cause some damage. Definitely.
Yeah.
Next off, for 15 points, past Praga.
Yeah.
Anti-air for 15 points. Not a big range, but when you see the rate of fire, you can understand why I took it, because this thing is absolutely a beast. 554 rate of fire, as well as an additional machine gun, which I cannot seem to see.
No. That's the same gun. It's just it's different in terms of like, think of it as ammunition that's loaded.
Oh yeah, I see.
Because one is HE and one is AP, so they have AP rounds that they can load in quickly if they need to take on vehicles.
The second one is kinetic, so anti-armor round.
Yeah.
So it's for very light armored vehicles, and this first one is an anti-air accuracy very poor. But when you need to cover up some quick open spaces and to suppress some helicopters that mess with your infantry, this guy is go-to for me.
I'm going to stop you just for a moment, but the primary purpose of this as a vehicle, because it's in the vehicle tab, is to support kind of your ground forces. You move this up with your APCs, your infantry, at the same time, and then you just park them at range from the vehicle complex, and as your infantry march up and the enemy infantry start shooting at them, these things will be able to cover your infantry and shoot at the enemy infantry that's coming out. The fact that you can shoot at helicopters is only a side bonus if it's in a forest and the helicopter happens to fly over it. Otherwise, most helicopters are going to see it and shoot it with an anti-tank guided missile. Do you have any other vehicle that you picked?
Yes. For the last, I got the SO-76 Hellcat.
You got a World War II tank.
Well, you got the freaking how do you call it? Damn. You got the where is it? Why can't I find the goddamn thing right now? Recon. Oh, you got the Great Hound, so don't freaking tell me what's World War II. Look, this is not gonna be a tank unit. 76mm round, only against soft targets.
It's very fast and hard to hit, yeah.
I mean, for its speed, if somebody throws a bunch of transports at you and you have 24 of them, for a 10-point cost, you can just cover up any holes and just wait for those transports to become target practice for this guy.
Yeah, I understand. This is your spam unit.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right.
So we should move on to helicopters.
Yep, helicopters.
Even though Yugoslavia isn't very powerful in that section.
Right. First I got was the HN-45M Gamma 2. It's an interesting helicopter because it's got anti-tank guided rockets or missiles, which is pretty good AP power and accuracy, and some Igla missiles as well. So very versatile helicopter. And the second one that I got was the HT-40NRZ-128. And the reason why it has 4 HE power, and so I have plenty of experience with the Soviet helicopter with that kind of HE power rockets. So even though these things don't carry any infantry, I'm still going to bring these in to just sort of wreck enemy forces with those 4 HE rockets. So that's my helicopters.
Well, interestingly enough, I did a completely opposite of you. I took the 45-point helicopter on the first one, so HN-45M Gamma 2.
That's what I said. I chose that.
I thought you said N.
No, I said M.
Okay, so I did the same helicopter as yours. God damn it. I took the 45-point version one because in my experience, when it comes to accuracy, on helicopters, it's important thing, and stabilizer definitely. So for 10 more points, you get 50% accuracy, 40% stabilizer, and a hell of a lot more AP power, which is definitely good. Infrared missiles, nothing special to say. You get a definitely bigger range and a 5% more accuracy in stabilizer, which may or may not be a big difference, but for 10 points, it's definitely worth a try.
Yeah. Did you get
And for the HT-40, I took the 57 instead of 128. Just because 4 points more, yeah, but I took the 40 version one because it has a machine gun, the gun, actual gun, not the machine gun. It's machine gun. Primarily because it might not be a big of a deal because in most cases the machine guns aren't useful at all on the helicopters, but sometimes they can be very, very useful. And 128mm rockets on the 45 versions one, yeah, you get 16 of them, but you get 57mm rockets times 96 with Little smaller range, lesser accuracy,
But yeah, you're
but
just throwing lots of rockets to suppress and
all in
stun up.
all, when you're throwing a lot of rockets at the enemy, you get more rockets, and the 40 point version is going to be better at that aspect.
Right. All right. Are you ready for the air tab? The last tab?
Yes. This is gonna be. Oh my god.
All right. Well, first thing I got, let's cover the air superiority fighter. I got the L-19, followed shortly by the L-18 as well.
So you get 2 air superiority.
Yep. I've got both variants. I've got the unique looking plane, and I got the MiG-29 variant as well. And both of them are pretty good. I got the L-18 as a veteran, and it's got longer range missiles, and it's able to. Both of them are able to dogfight pretty well. So yeah, I got extra air superiority. Basically, my Yugoslavia deck is my shoot down everything deck.
Yeah, I could figure that out already. Well, for me, I took for air superiority. My only plane was the L-18. For 30 point, you save 30 point, and the only big difference, as far as I can see, that the L-19 has better accuracy and stabilizers at the radar missiles, and it also has a far better 1,000 kilometers per hour speed, and the ECM is 40%. As for the L-18 has ECM of 30% and a speed of 900 kilometers per hour, but its radar missiles have a little bit greater range and a little poor accuracy, and you get 2 of them, as the L-19 versions get 4 of them. But the L-18 version also gets a little more rounds, 30mm rounds, than the L-19 version. So all in all, for me, I think that L-18 is my go-to.
Okay. And as for how many L-18s did you get? Did you get 2 or 4?
I got 4.
4 for rookie.
Yeah.
All right. So that will cover your air superiority. Next, for my anti-tank, I got the N62M Super Galib.
For the anti-tank?
For the anti-tank, it's the N62M Super Galib.
Oh, I can see it. Well...
I know, it's a trading plane. It's a trading plane, I know.
I took it also. For 130 points, I mean.
Yeah. It's got the anti-tank capabilities to take out enemy, and it's still pretty darn fast, and it's got a pretty tight turn radius, so you might as well, if you're trying to take out enemy tanks, you're going to need this in your deck.
Yeah. And please butcher that name one more time.
Okay, Galib.
Okay, so actually, now that I'm thinking, you didn't butcher it at all.
Haha!
It's pronounced Galeb.
Galeb.
Which is 90% correct. Seagull.
Seagull. So this is the Seagull.
Yes.
Oh, I'm so glad I brought you along. All right. So the next plane, how about the L-15M? This is obviously, I think, the MiG-21 or the MiG-23. I have to go back and check, but it's got 2 500-kilogram bombs and 2 450-kilogram bombs per cluster. It's basically the Dragonfly that the Japanese have, but now Yugoslavia has a variant of their own for it.
Well, I took the NJ-22 Oral. It is a 5-point expensive just because you get 450 kilogram bombs.
Cluster. So you got a pure dedicated cluster bomber, and I just got a mixed variant of both HE and HP.
Oral is... God damn it. Eagle.
Eagle.
Eagle. Yes.
A step
It's
up
Seagull.
from Seagull.
Obviously. So it's my only bomber.
Ah.
Obviously. Also.
All
Do
right.
you have any multi-role?
Um. Let me check. Just the Super Galib. I haven't gotten the Siege Burr, or however you pronounce that.
Well, I could tell you, but I think it's gonna be more fun to see you pronounced.
I tried to pronounce it already. It's now your turn to translate.
Maybe it's not. Try one more time.
Siege Burr.
Well, now that you done it, I'm gonna have to disappoint you. It's not a word in Croatian or Serbian.
Oh, you little. You tricked me.
Oh well, what can I do? What can I do?
Right.
Well, for more multi-role, I don't have any, but what I forgot to say that I do have one more bomber,
Hmm.
which is going to be N62 Super Gallop again, but this time with Napalm. Because I believe Napalm is the big greatness.
Napalm is
And it's,
pretty good. It's definitely an area denial.
yeah. So instead of some multi-role, I just choose like to have two bombers, anti-tank cannons, air
Right.
superiority, pretty much anything you need. You eliminate any need for the actual bomber for the multi-role.
Right. You basically your pure dedication for your planes.
Yeah.
All right. I do have one more plane. I've got the J-21 Jastreb. I got
I'm
this.
just checking some specs.
All right. I got this mainly because I'm actually really like rocket planes because they reload really fast. Like after they launch their rockets, they evac out, and then like 10 seconds later, you can have them back out to do another rocket run. And what's unique about this rocket plane is it also has napalm rockets it fires as well. So, little extra bonus there.
Yeah, well, Jastreb, how you pronounce it in Croatian, is a hawk.
A hawk. So we've got Seagull, Eagle, and Hawk.
Yep.
All right, that's a nice name for a rocket pod plane, the Hawk.
Nice name for everything.
So,
Well,
is that all your planes as well?
yeah. So now the time to determine the strength of our decks all in all.
Yeah, we'll definitely try to play some games with these this weekend. Well, so thanks for doing this collab with me and being my translator for all the Yugoslavian units.
No problem. It's been my pleasure.
Yeah. All right. So I will talk to you later, and I'll see you all guys in the next video where we try this decks out. See you later.
Bye.